Welcome back to the Skyway. Today kicks off the Skyway Vintage Tournament, 1960s. Decades of speed have passed, but there isn't a car on the road today that doesn't look back at this moment in time for inspiration and evolution. It's a smaller tournament than we're used to, 8 cars total. The top 2 drivers from today's group will advance on to the second and final round, racing for a chance to be a champion in the Skyway Tournament Series. This is Group 1 of the Skyway Vintage Tournament. Kip Slade driving in the Hunter, a Jaguar E-Type weighing 43.2 grams. Mallory Darkness driving in the Copperhead, an Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale weighing 49.1 grams. Stetson Horn, welcome back sir, driving in Yellow Jacket, a Corvette Stingray Coupe weighing 50.3 grams. And Judy Rumble driving in Heavy Metal, a Mercedes-Benz 300 SL weighing 40.7 grams. Now, instead of haunting the halls of our showroom floor, why don't you get out on the track, show us what your reputation is all about. Kip Slade starting in pole position in that gorgeous Jaguar E-Type. Beside him, Mallory Darkness in the equally gorgeous 33 Stradale. Stetson Horn starting in the back row alongside Judy Rumble. And they're off. Kip Slade flashes ahead like lightning, whipping through turn 1. Darkness closing the gap. Pop Slade from behind into turn 3. Perfect execution. Darkness rides close out of turn 4, spins out, and Slade takes first place, followed by Darkness, Horn, and Rumble in that order. What a way to kick off the vintage tournament. Kip Slade makes a slicing statement in race 1, whipping that Jaguar through the turns. Watch as he rides that lower inner line. And again into turn 3, he, like others before him, cutting down the banking wall at a defensive angle while setting up for a clean and powerful exit. Darkness for the second time popping Slade from behind, but Slade maintains control. Out of turn 4, Mallory Darkness skids away all her speed and any opportunity to overtake in the final straight, but is still able to hold on to second place. Kip Slade riding high in first position, Mallory Darkness quite literally nipping at his heels in second, Stetson Horn and Judy Rumble in a distant third and fourth. Now the vintage tournament sees the return of Stetson Horn from all the way back in Group 3 of the Grand Prix qualifying rounds, this time in some new wheels, starting now in pole position. Kip Slade with another chance in the front, and even in the outside lane, Stetson Horn should be worried. Wow, Stetson Horn flies out of the gate into open lane track and he's out of air. Hits the inner wall into turn 3. Perfect. There's no one else in sight. Here comes Darkness riding his tail all the way across the finish. And Stetson Horn takes race 2, followed uncomfortably close by Mallory Darkness and Judy Rumble. But no Kip Slade. Stetson Horn raises the ante, dominating the first sprint. Now this is a much heavier car than last we saw Stetson in the Grand Prix. He's got much more control this time, but here's the moment. From the shadows emerges Mallory Darkness, closing the gap and first, scratching the chrome off Stetson Horn's bumper across the finish. But what happened to Kip Slade, especially after that incredible first impression? For that, we go all the way back to turn 2. Watch the upper left corner. Kip Slade launches from the track, riding the ramp right over the edge. There's oversteering and there's understeering, and then there's no steering at all. Now, I've watched a few practice laps with the Jaguar. The slightest error in trajectory can be devastating. With these long chassis and a narrow wheel set, he's got to stay moment to moment. Stetson Horn rises to the top spot with 7 points. Mallory Darkness consistently breathing down the neck of whoever's in first position. And Kip Slade takes a serious hit, earning 0 points for never reaching the finish. And unfortunately, now begins his time in the back row. But with Stetson Horn in front of him, he'll surely have plenty of room to break through. Rumble leads a tight group down the first straight. Darkness close down the drop. Horn passing on the inside. Rumble pushed off the track. Horn accelerates out to turn 3. His lead grows. Darkness catches up, riding close across the finish. Stetson Horn takes race 3, followed of course by Mallory Darkness. But poor Judy Rumble, and once again, no sight of Kip Slade at the finish. We can see right here in the 90-degree turn, Kip Slade substantially slowing down. The race is over before it's even begun. The rest of the group rides close, and watch now as Stetson Horn seizes his opportunity as they head into open lane track. A calculated and metered pass on the inside. Rumble and Horn side by side through the turn. Now keep an eye on Stetson Horn upon exit. He jukes his bow, cutting to the right, checking Rumble right over the edge, with Darkness seeming to finish the job pulling in from behind. In absolutely savage and dirty play by Stetson Horn, breathing life into that old American adage, you mess with the stingray and you get the horns. Out of turn 3, his lead grows, and like clockwork, Darkness closes the gap and rides intimidatingly close across the finish. That is 3 races in a row Mallory Darkness has finished in second place, and I always say it and I'll say it again, but always watch the one driver consistently lurking in the shadows of first position. And when it comes to the leaderboard, Darkness with a competitive 9 points, second only to Stetson Horn. Now, with 2 first place wins under his belt, ensures his spot in the final round with 12 points. Congratulations, sir, and what a way to make a comeback. Now, unfortunately, it's impossible for Rumble to advance on, and Kip Slade has only one scenario that keeps him in this competition. He needs to finish in first place, and he needs Mallory Darkness to finish last, or better yet, not at all. That would tie it up and force another round. Slade has his work cut out for him though, starting in the back row, and Mallory Darkness only now starting in pole position. Perhaps this is her chance to take the lead all for herself. And they're off. Darkness fires down the first straight, look at that, down the drop her lead grows, Slade still inside. Whipping through turn 3, she's wild, hitting the walls, into turn 4, loses control, Slade passes on the outside, taking race form. Darkness still in second, followed by Rumble and a distant and backward Stetson Horn. What a fantastic pass by Kip Slade out to the final turn. It's an absolutely educated manoeuvre. The exit of turn 4 has proven to destabilise Darkness nearly every race, has her drifting, fighting to maintain, and Kip Slade is ready for it. Now, without skipping a beat, he skates by on the outside, charging ahead, never giving up first position. Now, in order to tie, Slade needed to finish in first, which he did, but he also needed Darkness to finish last. And there you have it. Stetson Horn and Mallory Darkness are your winners today, and will advance on to the final round of the Vintage Tournament. Slade and Rumble simply thank you for the racing. Stetson Horn righting the wrongs of the past, and a fitting start to the Vintage Tournament. These are both absolute gems in the pantheon of speed machines throughout the ages. Join us next time for Group 2 to see who will join today's winners in the final round of the Vintage Tournament. Until then, drive safely and always take the high road.